Hello everyone and welcome back to Fight Night. I'm Jake and once again I'm joined by Rio.
Hello.
So, today we're doing something different from our usual Fight Night fare and we're copying Death Battle! Superman vs. Goku! Woo! Except, so this time around it's going to be different from our usual fare where we discuss character strengths, weaknesses, who would win, blah blah blah. This time it's in our minds, it's pretty much unanimous who would win, but there's been so much internet uproar that we have felt the need to comment on it. So, in this case, we think it's pretty inarguable that Superman would win.
Yeah.
Tom, do you have something to say?
You're drunk again, I can tell. But
I'm not good with names. Look, I was just talking to my other friend Jake, and I don't know, man.
yep. Anyway, yeah. So, we agree with Death Battle's decision, both times, the decision they made twice, that Superman would win. I don't know about Jacob, but I know that I certainly believe that Superman wouldn't win to the extent that he won in the most recent Death Battle video.
I disagree. I think he would have won to that extent and more.
But I don't think it's debatable that he would have won. And I was talking to Jacob about this the other night, shortly after the Death Battle video came out. One or two of you might have seen the comment that Jacob left on the Search Labs account about Superman Prime 1 million and about how much he would beat Goku. We're not even going to talk about that version. We're just going to talk about the standard New Earth version of Superman and how much he would beat Goku.
Although, I would like to mention that in Death Battle, they said that they were using the most powerful versions of those characters, and that was false. Because
Superman Prime 1 million.
Because Superman Prime 1 million exists.
Yeah, just by virtue of Superman Prime 1 million
It's
being
like,
a thing.
To put how powerful Superman Prime 1 million is in perspective, Superboy was the cause of the DC Universe resetting.
Yeah.
Superboy, not Superman.
Yeah. Superman Prime 1 million, a good summary of how powerful he is the Superman in the, like, not Superman Prime 1 million, but the Superman who's like a member of the Justice League in the 1 million series of comics, like that future universe, derives his power instead of from the sun, from Superman Prime 1 million. He uses one, like, iota of Superman Prime 1 million's power, and he was able to beat modern Superman.
Yeah.
Like, pretty easily in a fight. So so Superman Prime 1 million is basically by virtue of existing a god.
Yeah.
No, he might as well be. He is, but
yeah. So for the majority of this video, I think we're going to be talking about the feats that Superman has achieved, to the effect of which he is significantly. It's definite that he would win. But feats aside, and including Death Battle had mentioned that Superman is a character without limits, and Goku is a character who is constantly surpassing limits, and by virtue of having no limits, Superman wins that fight.
Yeah. I think it was Wiz said, only one of them has limits to give.
Yeah. So, there's obviously that in the, like, ideological aspect of it, but another thing is, personally, I don't, like, Goku is a character, and he is a character who is generally much better written than Superman is, but to my mind, Superman isn't really a character anymore. He might have been a character once, but he's not really anymore. Because at this point, Superman isn't a man, he is an idea that stands for hope and justice.
Yeah.
And no matter how strong of a man you are, and they actually talked about this a little bit in the Batman movies, no matter how strong of a man you are, you can't beat an icon. You can't take down an idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to feats. Rio, do you have anything that you would like to start us off with?
Um. Oh, I wasn't. I was not prepared for this. Hang on. You start off. I'll Google Superman feats.
Okay, well,
If you can hear me typing, it's because I'm
well,
Googling
yeah.
Superman.
Well, Death Battle has us pretty well covered in terms of feats, because lifting eternity and lifting infinity is, you know, and I'm actually going to address some concerns about that because I saw a couple of comments and stuff saying that's not actually eternity. It's like we know that was a character, but that character is the physical embodiment of eternity. So it's
Well,
not that
to-
far of a stretch to imagine
Yeah.
that he weighs
Well-
about as much as eternity.
Well, actually, to be fair, considering that is even if eternity is the physical embodiment of everything, that has really no impact on his weight. And if he is the physical embodiment of everything, he could kind of weigh as much as he wants. But the real feat I think they mentioned is he lifted the Book of Infinite Pages,
Yeah.
which weighs literally infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because it contains an infinite number of pages, and given that pages of paper have mass, that means that object has infinite mass, and he was able to lift it.
And I've actually in Death Battle they said that they probably wouldn't. He probably wouldn't have even needed Shazam's help to lift it. And some people are arguing, nuh-uh, in the comic it said Shazam contributed just as much as Superman did. It's like, even if they were doing equal work and they were both carrying half the weight, in the words of Boomstick, do you know what half of infinity is? In fucking infinity.
Yeah.
So, I mean, once you can lift infinity, there is pretty much nothing that can stop you.
Yeah.
It also,
In addition, on one occasion, I believe Superman was able to take a punch from the Flash, take the infinite mass punch, and survive.
speaking of the infinite mass punch, so what the infinite mass punch is, basically, the Flash goes so ludicrously fast
That he
his
gains
fist gains infinite mass.
Yeah, based on Einstein's theory of relativity. It's a very complicated concept that neither of us understand because we are 16.
Yeah. So,
but
it's my personal opinion that Superman only survived that because Flash was holding back. But still, the force of that punch would be enough to shatter galaxies.
yeah, and while he didn't take it well, shall we say, he was able to take an infinite mass
the
punch.
fact that he was still alive, the fact that there were atoms of him that were still connected was amazing.
Yeah. So Superman, his just by feats. I know there are a lot of people on the internet who
We're like,
like
Goku
just
could train to beat him, but it's like, even the most powerful form of Goku that
Yeah.
currently exists does not match up to Superman.
yeah. There's Superman. I just want to put out a disclaimer. Jacob briefly touched on this in the beginning, but I don't know about Jacob. I personally despise Superman.
Yeah.
Superman is one of my least favorite characters in all of comic books.
It's like, I don't know terribly too much about Goku, but I know that I like him more than I like Superman.
I hate Goku too, but I hate Goku a lot less than I like Superman just by virtue of him not being Superman.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I hate Superman with such this burning passion is the same reason he would beat Goku, and that is that Superman is frequently portrayed as beatable. He's frequently portrayed as mortal. He's frequently portrayed as someone who has limits.
But he is
But
not.
in reality, none of those things apply to him. He essentially has ultimate strength, ultimate durability, ultimate immortality, ultimate morality. You can't, unless you're a character like Franklin Richards or like the One Above All or like the Beyonder who can just wink people out of existence, you cannot kill Superman.
So, something else that I want to touch on. I'm not 100% certain, but I believe the Man of Steel actually performed his own infinite mass punch. Although I imagine this wouldn't be as strong as Flash's version. Still, he destroyed a planet with it, no sweat.
Yeah.
And he literally made it blow up. And This is a quote from a Flash comic about the infinite mass punch. So it hits like an average white dwarf star at the speed of light. That is 42 nonillion megatons, which is 4,000 times a supernova.
Yeah.
And speaking of supernovas, on one occasion, Superman took 15 supernovas directly to his face and walked away.
Yeah. Whereas Goku, during his fight with Boo, shared with Vegeta his fear that if Boo destroyed the planet they were on, him and Vegeta might not make it out of the explosion alive. Well, to be fair, Goku is a bit humble at times about his own power.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's,
4,000
a fair statement to
supernovas
say.
is enough to destroy the planet probably 8,000 times over.
Well, one supernova would be enough to destroy the Earth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's 4,000 times a supernova, one supernova is enough to destroy Earth at least 2 times.
Yeah.
So if it's 4,000 times the force of a supernova, that is 8,000 times over.
Yeah.
And that force could connect
To be fair,
with Goku's frontal lobe.
Yeah, and to be fair, we aren't aware because while he wasn't on Namek when it exploded, he was pretty close to it, and he was able to survive that. We aren't aware if this is Goku just downplaying himself, but there's no way in hell, no matter what you believe, that Goku could survive 40,000 supernovas.
It's 4,000, but still.
4,000 supernovas.
Doesn't really matter. Goku's still dead anyway.
Yeah. 4,000. It also doesn't matter to Superman because Superman can survive either.
And a lot of people are saying, oh, Goku. This isn't the most powerful version of Goku. Goku could train and get stronger and beat Superman. The fact of the matter is, no matter how quickly the creator of Dragon Ball Z makes Goku train, and no matter how strong Goku gets, comic Superman will still be stronger than him by virtue of power creep. Superman's power creep is advanced like super. Let's say in units. Let's say we're calling our unit of power the Powery, right? So let's say Goku has 10 Poweries and Superman has 100 Poweries. At his current rate, Goku is gaining like 1 Powery every year, and Superman is gaining 5 every year.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's that Goku and Superman, just by virtue of where they draw their power, Superman will always be stronger than Goku. Superman draws his power from yellow suns, of which there's a theoretically infinite number of in our universe, and they literally create energy at an exponentially faster rate. So Superman can theoretically get infinite energy so long as he absorbs the infinite power, so long as he absorbs the yellow sunlight necessary. Whereas Goku draws his power from ki, which is a physical energy from his own body. So Superman's body can generate as much energy as needed, can create as much strength as needed so long as there's enough yellow sunlight, whereas Goku has a literal biological limit, like a genetic limit to his power, because he's drawing it from his own body.
Additionally, technically, Superman does have his own ki that he could draw on. With training, of course.
Yeah.
Oh darn, I had a brain fart. I had something really good to say. Alright, so speaking of these characters, culturally, so this is I don't pretend to be very well versed in Japanese fiction as a whole or Japanese culture, but in Japan, the stories tend to be more about a hero rising to the challenge, but in America, it tends to be more about not someone training and getting the power they deserve, but it's more about miracles and the miracle of being able to defeat whatever aforementioned challenge. So if you are instantly able to beat the miracle, that puts you over someone who needs to train to beat the miracle because you inherently have the ability to beat the challenge. And I think I
Like
might have said beat the miracle a couple of times in that
you
sentence.
said beat the miracle like 4 times. I was going to
Yes,
correct you on it,
I
but I
would
didn't want to come
say
off as a dick.
challenge.
Even something sort of jumping off of that, using that point as a springboard. Shit, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, if you look at very popular American heroes, it's characters like Superman or Batman who have their powers just sort of instinctively. Like Batman's naturally a prodigy, right? And there are few people who have the same capacity for intelligence and capacity for knowledge as Batman, or Superman, who's literally an alien that just naturally has the power to absorb a certain wavelength of radiation, right? Or even characters who are born normal, like Spider-Man. He got his powers in an accident.
Yes.
It's not common in...
Yeah, it's like they don't work for it. It's given
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah. Some in a lot of American heroes. And while, yes, you can argue that Batman and Superman and Spider-Man have all trained, the way they trained was they trained to use the gifts that they just inherently have.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Japanese culture...
They tend to not have the gifts in the first place.
Yeah, with a few exceptions, like all the characters in Codebreaker, or someone like Naruto, who just, just by virtue of where he was on the day of his birth, had the Nine Tails sealed inside of him.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like, with a few exceptions, most characters train to get what they have. Mm-hmm. In I don't know if that's a thing of Japanese culture, but it certainly applies to Superman and Goku.
Both cultures have a lot of both.
Yeah.
Japan tends to have a lot more of the one over the other.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a difference between culture, but it certainly applies to Superman and Goku. Because Superman has his powers just by virtue of his genetics. Whereas Goku, save for his Super Saiyan forms, is the same as, everyone else on his planet. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it's just the way it's written is that Superman is sort of written based on miracles, I guess. Like, he's written based on, look at how...
Miracles and just finding sudden surges of strength.
Yeah. Miracles are just, he's always able to rise up to the challenge, right? Mm-hmm.
Even
his limit is...
training.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing about Superman is his limit is defined by what he needs to do in the moment, whereas Goku's limits are much more firmly set.
It's like
he can lift X number of tons, he can go X number of miles per hour, until the very moment when he gets down to the grindstone and decides to increase those numbers.
Mm-hmm. So, actually, I think neither character technically has defined limits. However, Superman can raise those limits more or less at will. And Goku has to put time, effort, and energy to raise his own limits.
Yeah.
So, by virtue of expending less time, effort, and energy to get to the same place Goku is, Superman is fundamentally stronger than him.
Yeah. And again, I mentioned this earlier, but I just think we can't stress this enough. We're not saying... To all you people who like Goku more than Superman, we both agree with you. Goku's an infinitely much more better written character than Superman, and being able to change your limits basically at will to fit whatever the situation is kind of bullshit. Mm-hmm. But because...
No matter which way you cut it, and so I don't adamantly hate Superman like Rio does, but he's like a neutral character for me, and but no, even if he was my least favorite character of all time,
like he is for me.
Yeah. No matter what, no matter which way you cut it, Superman will always win.
Yeah. And just to show you how much, how kind of little I like Superman, I'm honestly not having a good time making this video. Because I'm having to acknowledge all the sort of how powerful Superman is, which is not something I generally like. But the reasons I hate Superman are the same reasons he would just kick the shit out of Goku. Mm-hmm.
So, in opposite of Fight Night tradition, so some of you might have noticed that as the series has gone on, the episodes have been getting longer and longer and longer, like a steady length creep. But this is actually, I think it's going to be one of our shortest episodes, if not the shortest, although I think our first one might have been the shortest.
Yeah. Primarily because I don't like this.
Yeah. And, well, I think we've said about all we have to say.
Yeah.
Join us next time for the battle of two video game swordsmen. Thank you for watching. I've been Jake.
I have been Rio.
Thank you. Please like and subscribe, or else we won't be able to feed our poor, poor children. Goodbye.